Hello everyone, this is Hillary with Dominion Tea, and today we're going to take on the sorting and drying stage of how tea is made. So as a quick refresher, we've already done videos on harvesting, withering, and shaping, so feel free to go back and watch if you haven't caught them. I'll get you up to speed on drying, and then of course we'll take you into packaging and storage in a few weeks. So sorting is absolutely one of the steps in the drying process. Now, sometimes this can happen just before the leaves are put into kind of their finished drying stage or just after they've been dried. Why are we sorting? We're sorting to get different grades of tea so we can price them based off of their quality. So let's just take something like a tea like Dragonwell or Mouth Fang. The size and the color matters, and those teas are prized for a uniform size and color, and that used to all be done by hand. Nowadays, we've got infrared, lasers, we've got all sorts of electronics that allows the leaves to be sorted in a much more uniform fashion than a human can do, in a much faster rate than a human can do. And what this does is this allows the tea manufacturer to get kind of top dollar for the best leaves inside a harvest. Those of us as end consumers, we're used to seeing uniform size and color on our Dragonwells, if not our Cinchas, as well as some of our black teas like our Ceylons, or Assams. That doesn't come naturally. A full harvest, start to finish, if you were to watch it, is going to give you different sizes of leaf, different color by the time they take it through the full process. And so it takes a human, or in this case, wonderful technology, to sort through, get them back to kind of a uniform grade. And this allows, of course, the tea companies to hopefully make as much money as possible on their product. So we may have sorted before going to drying, or we may go to drying and then sort, but let's talk about drying. So why are we drying? We're trying to get the moisture out of the tea leaves to preserve them and give them as long a shelf life as possible. Originally, this was done by hand over open flame. So you can imagine uniform moisture removal, not possible. Modern machines, really within the last 30 years, and computers have absolutely revolutionized them in that time period, are now able to very quickly tell using reflectometers and ionic measuring plates the moisture levels inside the leaves and make them absolutely uniform across the batch and guarantee better quality. When you talk to the tea masters who predate these machines, they will tell you you can absolutely tell the doneness of the tea leaves by their smell, and whether they've hit the correct moisture level, both by their smell as well as the feel in between their fingers as they pinch them to test them. And so you can have it either way. There are still tea masters who don't have fully computerized ovens, but still use their noses and their fingers to tell doneness. And then there's others who rely very heavily on this technology. So what's going on in these ovens? Let's talk about temperatures. So the temperatures are going to range for a finishing drying time of anywhere between 80 to 105 degrees Celsius. For those of us in the Fahrenheit world, this is 176 to 212. Your oven at home doesn't drop this low. Why do we have such a large range? It depends heavily on the outside air moisture on the day they're drying. And so they might need to up the temperature to dry out the air more inside the oven and ensure that they pull out the right amount of moisture. It also is driven by the amount of time that leaf may have been withering and in the shaping stages prior to come to drying. And so as well as the amount of oxidation, your black teas are going to be up at that higher temperature as they try to dry them out. Now, they're not going to spend a huge amount of time in this dryer. Anywhere between 5 minutes to 20 minutes. And let me tell you, they're going to be watching the dryers like a hawk. Tea can burn very quickly if they're not paying attention. And so it's usually very much monitored, even though they are computer driven. There's a human standing there making sure sometimes with our noses that everything's going as planned. So once we're fully dried, there are still teas that are going to go through a finishing step before they get packaged. Usually these finishing steps are reserved for oolongs and puerhs because they may go through another series of drying, especially if you're a a consumer of Taiwanese oolongs, those Taiwanese oolongs are going to be re-dried a couple of times before they're released out to a buyer like me, usually because the manufacturers of the tea believe that the tea needs to be aged 3 to 6 months in storage before they release it. And they're going to do a drying to drop the moisture down below 5% to make it possible for the end consumer to have a long shelf life. And so those are going to get re-dried. Now we talk about roasting tea. If you come across roasted teas, and there are plenty of them, so this is hojicha, you will find roasted oolongs, like a roasted tikuanyin, a dark roasted alishan, that can absolutely, those are roasted after they've been fully dried. Now, one of the other finishing steps is if you're dealing in bald oolongs, those bald oolongs have kept their tea stems during the entire manufacturing process, and they need to be removed. Removing them by machine is still not possible. The machines do too much damage to the bald leaves. So what happens is the tea companies will hire part-time help to come in and de-stem their oolongs, especially tikuanyin in China. So the picture you've got on screen here are a wonderful group of stay-at-home moms who happen to work for the manufacturing company we buy from in China, and they come in during tikuanyin season while the kids are in school, and they'll spend an hour or two de-stemming tikuanyin, because, of course, without the stems, the oolong gets a higher price point of market. Stemmed oolongs typically are considered very low grade in China and often get put back through the manufacturing process to be turned into tea bags. So they're cut down, stem and leaf and all, for the tea bag. But the high-end ones, stems come off, and that's still a manual process. So we've got our tea finished. We're going to need to pack it next, which we'll cover another time.
We hope you enjoyed learning more about tea with us. Hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified when we add more videos to our channel. And check out the highlighted videos to learn even more about tea. And last but not least, you can check out all of the teas we talk about in our videos at dominiontea.com.